So there's no down payment with the VA loan. And since there's not, what costs do you really have associated with it?
Well, there's still closing costs that can happen, and there's a funding fee in some cases. If you don't have at least a 10% disability rating, then there's a funding fee. And active duty has a funding fee. But other than those costs, and the funding fee actually can be rolled into the loan. It's the only thing that can be rolled into the loan. Like you can't roll in your closing costs. That's not something you can do.
Now, is that something you can do on traditional loans?
No. Typically, closing costs have to be paid for either by you or by the seller.
So you can't go and say, well, VA loans, make sure you don't use them because you can't roll your closing costs. You can't do it with any loan.
Correct.
Okay.
There's one exception. There's a USDA loan that allows some of this stuff. So it's a little bit different. It's very limited.
That's why you have people with your education though, that you can reach out to.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's nuances everywhere, but as a blanket statement rule, you cannot roll your closing cost in with your VA loan.
So here's a perfect example. I've had opportunities with veterans in certain situations where if you're in the right market, meaning the right area, you could find a house, have the seller pay the closing costs, the veteran pay for an inspection, they have their earnest money that they paid, that they put at like a deposit.
Okay.
And they've gotten their earnest money back, and they've only paid $500 or whatever it is for the inspection, and they've moved into a house.
Wow. So
because the seller paid all those costs.
Okay, so as a rule, you can negotiate the deal and things like that. Just as the blanket thing, don't walk in just expecting it to happen.
Right.
Right. That's why you work with a lender, a loan officer, or a realtor that do understand what they're talking about.
Correct.
Right.
Right. Many times, I think that's one of the, I don't know if you want to call that a myth, but I think it's kind of like a myth that veterans assume, oh, it's 100% loan, I don't have to put any money down.
That is something that veterans, I will tell you, before I used my VA loan for the first time, that is something I was completely under the assumption of.
Yep.
And it is just, they said, oh yeah, no, it's no down payment, VA loan. That is what people say. They don't ever mention the additional money. And then once you get into it, you hear about the earnest money, which you get back. And then you hear about the closing costs, which you can negotiate. So yes, you can get in for next to nothing, right? And much less than a regular loan. Mm-hmm. But it's still not zero.
Correct.
And that's okay, because if you're moving into a home, when you move into a home, they all want to throw problems at you the second you move in, right? Issues wait until you move in. Yeah. And once you do, though, they will pop up. So it's good to have your savings and stuff set aside, because instead of doing a 20% down payment that you would do on a conventional loan, mm-hmm. you can put that money to the side using your VA loan and pay for repairs as they do come up.
Right.
That's one of the beneficial things there.
Another myth that a lot of people in the real estate industry, especially real estate agents, say, it'll be like a listing agent, well, we don't want to accept an offer of a VA loan because a veteran doesn't have any skin in the game, because it's 100% loan. They're not putting any money down. They don't have any skin in the game. And my answer to that usually it starts with violence. Like I get so mad. I'm like, they don't have skin in the game?
They want the house.
Hold on. Who has more skin in the game? These people put their lives on the line for you to have the freedom you have. Isn't that enough skin in the game? They went to whoever, wherever they went, all over the world. I think there's enough skin in the game. So they took their skin, and their 20% down is somewhere in some other country. Right. That's where it's at.
Yeah, and that's perfectly okay. And I think that when they say no skin in the game, they're still not even factoring for how much the veteran has to go through to still get that house. They still have to go through the loan process.
Right.
A VA loan is not a lesser one with lesser requirements. Like you said, a VA loan the VA is not even the lender here. They have a whole other lender.
Right.
So at this point, you still have, just like everybody else, a whole other lender that has to qualify you. Mm-hmm. You can't just walk into a house and say, well, because I served, I can afford whatever I want, right? Yeah. I'm sure they still go off income, right?
But still, incomes, everything's just the same as the other loans as far as that goes. The cool part about it is the guidelines are different on the VA loan, and they are definitely more lenient.
Okay. So does it ever contradict the lender in the VA?
What do you mean?
Does, how the VA's policies will sometimes contradict what they say when they come into those conferences? Does the lender that back them, the one that does all the underwriting and stuff, are their rules different from the VA's in aspect of them ever contradicting each other?
Yeah, there are times, there's times where that happens, where a lender can have what's called overlays.
Okay.
So here's a good example. I'm a mortgage broker, so we have like 150 lenders that we work with. I have a couple of lenders, they'll do a VA loan, but they won't do a VA loan for any veteran under 600 credit score.
Okay.
But the VA guidelines don't have a minimum. There is no credit score minimum. You could have a 525 credit score.
And you can still get a VA
And
loan.
you can still get a VA loan. Now, there's extenuating circumstances that have to happen, and there has to be a reason. Like, if you have 525 credit, there's a problem.
Right.
Credit-wise, there's a problem, right? So it makes it a little more difficult, obviously, but there's some lenders that'll only go to 620 or 600, or some are at 580.
They are allowed to go as low as possible. However, the lenders obviously still have their rules and type of risks that they can do.
Yeah, that's called an overlay. They're just saying, here's the guidelines, and we're going to go by the guidelines, and we're going to follow them,
And you have
you're
our
going to
rules.
you're going to provide this document and this document, and we're going to prove this, and we're going to do this. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah. So they say, cool, the VA has our guidelines. We have a couple extra things that we want to do.
Right.
And they're not generally terrible things. It's generally not, they're not asking for an arm and a leg, right? I
No,
don't think so.
sometimes it's just to mitigate risk. They're trying to cut down on their risk.
Knowing all of this about the VA, all these books you've written, being embedded VA as a VVA 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
The position that you are in as an educator in veteran homeownership, what is your next move? What are you planning? What are you wanting to do? Are you wanting to just continue the same route? Are you wanting to get a larger audience and educate more, or what?
My main thing that I'm working on right now is I'm actually working on 2 books. One is related to the mortgage industry, and then one is going to be, I guess, the epitome of my life. If you want to call it that. My wife and I are writing a book.
Okay, that's exciting.
We're writing a book because
You got 12 kids?
we have 12 kids, and we know everybody thinks, okay, to be an expert, if you're going to write a book, you got to be an expert in something. So you got to be an expert in all these things. So what we've learned in our life, over 30 plus years of parenting our 12 kids, we've learned that when we first started parenting, we knew 100 things that we were going to do with our kids. And we've really honed that in now after 31, 32 years or whatever. We have learned that there's maybe 2 or 3 things that you might want to try, and nothing else. Like, we don't even know if that's going to work. Like,
Right.
Parenting is so different, you know.
It's difficult.
We had
and
all
different with
we were
everything.
the experts. We knew we were the experts. We knew exactly what we were going to do. Now
Did
we
not
don't.
work like that?
We know nothing. But we're going to write a book about all the things not to try. You know?
All the
Yeah,
things
you
we
probably don't
did
wanna do
try that did not work.
That didn't work.
That
but-
would be the things we tried that didn't work. That is,
So
don't try this book. That's the perfect title.
it should be interesting. But we've been working on this for a couple of years now, and really honing in on kind of a toolbox. That's the idea of it, like a parenting toolbox. We're all given tools. We were handed tools by our parents. Like our parents, some of our parents used a hammer, and some of them used a precision screwdriver in certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have all the tools, and I don't think we're handed all the tools as parents. I think we need better tools, and so we're just going to put together a book of tools.
Well, and I would say that you have to have some level of experience after 12 children, right?
Maybe.
30 years, that's at that point, I've got to give you credit there. I could never. Did you just enjoy being a parent? Like, did you just enjoy raising kids? My real question there is, Is it the same for every kid, or is parenting vastly different?
Oh, it is totally different. Every single kid is different. And not only is every single kid different, different seasons are different. Like my oldest, he's 31, and my oldest being 31, we don't parent our 7-year-old now like we parented him. We actually call him the crash test dummy.
Or, yeah, he's the first out of 12.
My wife calls him the experiment. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that was the experiment because we made so many mistakes. We learned from that. But like all different personalities. We have 5 boys, 7 girls. Like girls and boys are different. So that's one of the things that I'm really working on, which doesn't have anything to do with mortgages, but it's just something that my wife and I are working on. And then I'm looking at another, probably, it'll be a book at some point in the future down the road, but really it's just going to be daily education of some sort on finances. And what I've learned, this is probably, if you want to, you move through life in different ways. You start early in a marriage and early in life, and you want to make sure you're surviving, and then you want to make money because you need to make money to support 12 kids or whatever. And then
just 12. And
then you get to a point, and I'm 55 now, where I'm like, okay, what does a legacy look like? What can you leave other people? Like, so what can you leave veterans, and what can you leave your kids? And then I started thinking about, okay, if I'm going to leave my kids, and I made this list. It's a huge document of all these things. Like if I died today, boom, here's how you change your oil. Here's how you buy a car.
Awesome.
Here's how you invest your money. Here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. So I have all this information. I was like, do I just give it to them? Or do I just spread it out over 365 days on social media and say, every single day, I'm just going to put, here's how you buy a car, and take 90 seconds and talk about it. And then here's how you invest your money, or here's a good finance tip, or here, things like that. Not just
the
mortgage.
To everything in life, but it is, yes. It's the tools because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So it is helping people realize what they don't know.
Right. And I get calls, I would say every single week, from my kids going, hey Daddy, I need to know this. What do you know about that? Or can you help me, like, I'm going to tell you about this, and can you tell me if this is a good idea or a bad idea?
Do you have like a separate phone for all your kids calling?
Yeah, they have, it's like a red phone.
Right. No. The kid phone.
Yeah, no, I don't.
So Michael, after over 30 years of being married, changing careers when you've had 11 kids, 1 on the way, and completely writing books, providing education, writing out these guides for your kids, what is your secret? What is your wife's secret? What is both of your secrets? Because I know for a fact that you could not do this alone.
Oh, no.
There's 12 kids, I know, and I'm sure that you had to have some support to change careers at 11 kids. What is you guys' secret?
I would say the biggest secret is, well, I'll start in the very beginning. The very beginning is there's this word that society has put into our vocabulary. This word, it starts with a D. It's called divorce. My wife and I chose to eliminate that from the dictionary, like rip it out. So that was never an option. It was never one of those things where we looked at each other and said, okay, well, if this doesn't work out, I'll just go do this again, or I'll go on my own way. We just made that decision that, we're in it for life. And my wife will say it a little bit different. She'll say there's 2 choices. It's either we stay married or I'll kill you. That's that's it. Anyway,
till death do we part, right? Do you want it sooner or later? Right. It's up to you.
Exactly. I guess that's early on. That was the mindset. So once you've established that mindset, now you'll go through anything, because there's not an option. There's no other option. We're just going to go through it.
Yeah.
We got to figure out how we're going to go through it. We may not know all the secrets.
As long as you know the input and the output of what that you will make it, you guys can figure the details out on the way.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yep. That's true. So then, as we've progressed over the years, we've maintained that we'll have regular date nights. I can't make a statement that, hey, we had a date night every single week for 30 years. We haven't. But we've had regular date nights. We go and do our own vacations. We're going in a couple of months, in September. We're going on a vacation. A couple years ago, we went to Hawaii for 10 days, and that was awesome. And
Do you board all your kids when you're gone, or what do you do with them?
well, now I have older kids that can come stay with younger kids.
Oh, that's even how do they handle that, going back and seeing all their siblings?
Oh, they love it.
Wow, okay, cool. That is awesome.
So that's the thing. Regular date nights, making sure that we take time for ourselves. And I would say at this stage we have it set. It's a little bit different when you have younger kids, but we have it set now where we can just go for a dinner and hang out for a little, or sometimes it'll be a movie, or sometimes it's just, hey, we're going to go drive. This past year, I stepped into a new thing called early retirement.
Okay. I'm sorry, you're writing 2 books currently. You're a VA mentor. Yeah. I don't think there's an early retirement going on here.
Yeah, so far early retirement just means one thing. It means that on typically Thursday mornings or sometime Thursday, we went and took golf lessons. We've never played golf. We just went and took golf lessons. Or I have this little mini tiny fishing boat, 10 foot boat. We'll just go ride around. She don't want to fish, but
it's still fun to do it. So you're still taking that time together.
Yep, just take some time, go hang out, and reconnect. I guess that's a way to do it. Those are probably the biggest things that we do, and I think that has maintained our livelihood in our marriage.
Yeah. Well, Michael, I just want to thank you for coming here, talking to us, giving us a little bit of a peek into your life, what you do, what you're focused on. If people want to reach out to you for a free book, hire you as a loan officer, a realtor, or ask questions about VA loans, where can they get you?
I mean, we can certainly give them all the information as far as where. You can call me, obviously, my phone number, 615-499-6335. I do have a website, michaeldendy.com.
michaeldendy.com, okay.
You can find out more details about loans if you're interested in that. But the bigger thing is just education, though. If you need or have questions or want information, it's kind of like, every now and then you'll call me or text me and say, hey, what do you know about this? Or can you help me with this? Or, hey, I got this letter in the mail, or whatever. What do I need to do? I'll be glad to help answer any questions. No strings attached. Just I'll answer your questions.
Well, cool. Michael, I really do appreciate you meeting us. Guys, if you do want to check him out at all, his YouTube channel is Living in Nashville.
So the YouTube channel is set up specifically if people are looking to move to the area here in Middle Tennessee. They can go to this channel and they can see pretty much any area around Middle Tennessee. So if they wanted to move to Clarksville, there's all kinds of videos about Clarksville and what's in Clarksville, where they can live, neighborhoods they can live in, restaurants, and history about Clarksville.
Like they've been living there 10 years already.
Right.
So it lets them go in with a sense of familiarity from the very beginning.
Right. So it gives people a clear picture of what a specific community, whether it be Clarksville or Nashville or Franklin or Murfreesboro or Gallatin. I mean, it could be anywhere. I've gone to all these different towns and I've just shot videos saying, hey, here's what Main Street looks like, and here's what it looks like here, and here's the history of, hey, did you know that Murfreesboro used to be the capital of Tennessee way back in the 1800s?
So fun facts, and you get the actual picture of kind of what's like living there.
Yep.
And that's Living in Nashville on YouTube. Living in Nashville, right? Mm-hmm. Living in Nashville on YouTube if you guys want to check them out.
Yep.
But all right, Michael, hey, I really appreciate you meeting with us.
Yep. Glad to be here.